Hello everyone, Dark of All Trades here. Now I'm out of town this weekend, so I'm very likely not in the live chat, but I assure you I'm doing my best to have as much fun as I can. But that doesn't mean I think you should be left without a video. After last week's hour-long response, I hope to make this one a bit shorter, both for the engagement as well as my own mental capacity. As of writing this script, I have a few things left to do to prepare for my weekend out of town, and I'm actually taking time off of work for it, which is quite uncommon for me. But again, I want to make sure you all have some decent content from me. Longtime viewers, or even those who have gone through my content catalog, may remember one of my first videos, and definitely my first Questions for Atheists video from a large channel called Capturing Christianity. In that video, he has 3 questions, and I want to touch on them very briefly. First, he asks if I, the viewer, was a hard atheist or not. Second, he asks if I believe my belief should or do purport to the evidence. Then, if yes to both questions, his third question is, what is my evidence to prove that God does not exist? It is him asking for me to justify the hard atheist position. Now, I think I did pretty well, especially for it being my early content in my content creation career. I still use a lot of my response when asked about my position, and I don't think that my position has changed, though now I think I can explain a little more robustly. So why am I bringing up my old content? Well, today, I found out Cameron has put out another short called 3 More Questions for Atheists. Since he is known to be one of the heavy hitters for apologetics here on the YouTubes, I figured I'd take a look at what he has to say. Now, I've seen a fair amount of his content throughout the last few years, and he definitely has a way with words. He's probably more polished than many other apologists I find here. And if anything, I definitely don't want to be accused of only going after amateurs and low-hanging fruit. I want to take on the best of the best arguments and respond to the best questions. And if Cameron has such a good following, I think he is probably more likely to have the better arguments that reach the most people. Plus, while he is an apologist, I think he at least comes off as quite honest in his approach and in dialogue, so I want to give him the same courtesy in return. So let's see 3 Questions for Atheists Part 2 Electric Boogaloo.
Only heaven silence for an answer.
All right, I've got 3 more questions for atheists. Here is number 1. Do you believe that our beliefs ought to be proportioned to the evidence? So should we only really believe something if we've got evidence in favor of it?
Do I believe our beliefs ought to be proportioned to the evidence? Absolutely. In fact, I'd go as far as saying it's not just a belief, but a principle I tried to live by. Of course, I can't just leave a simple yes or no question with a simple yes or no answer. I need to go deeper than that. So why do I believe this? Well, evidence is our best tool for navigating reality. It's the difference between thinking the Earth is flat because it looks that way from where we're standing, and understanding it's an oblate spheroid based on the overwhelming evidence from multiple fields of study. Proportioning beliefs to evidence isn't just good science, it's good life practice. It helps us make better decisions, from the mundane, like checking the weather forecast before planning a picnic, to the profound, like basing medical treatments on rigorous clinical trials. However, the second part of the question, should we only really believe something if we've got evidence in favor of it, adds an interesting twist. In principle, yes, we should strive to base our beliefs on evidence. But in practice, it's not always that straightforward. There are beliefs we hold that might not have direct empirical evidence, but are necessary for practical reasoning. For instance, the belief that other minds exist besides our own, or that our senses generally provide reliable information about the world. These assumptions can't be proven in the strictest philosophical sense, but are fundamental to how we function. Moreover, we need to consider what constitutes evidence. Is personal experience evidence? What about logical necessity? These are deep philosophical waters. So while I maintain that proportioning our beliefs to evidence is crucial, we need a nuanced understanding of both evidence and belief. It's not just about having evidence in favor of something, but also considering 3 things: the absence of compelling evidence against it, its coherence with our other well-founded beliefs, and its explanatory power. The key is to hold our beliefs with appropriate levels of certainty, always being open to revising them in light of new evidence. We shouldn't paralyze ourselves into believing nothing just because we can't empirically prove everything, but we should be cautious about believing things without good reason. Now I'm curious to see where Capturing Christianity is going with this. Are we about to do some kind of evidence weighing contest? Or is he setting us up for a philosophical curveball? Either way, I'm game. Let's see what his next pitch is going to be.
Number two is, if we could verify that some miracle actually occurred, would that give us a reason to think that God exists? And again, this is contingent on whether or not we could actually verify that the miracle happened.
If we could verify that a miracle actually occurred, would that give us reason to think God exists? This is a thought-provoking question that touches on how we understand our world and what we consider possible. First, let's clarify a couple of things. As Cameron is a Catholic, when he says God, I'm going to presume that he means some form of the Christian God, not necessarily limiting it to a specific one flavor. Secondly, I need to clarify what we mean by miracle. Generally, it is an event that seems to break the laws of nature as we know them. Think of it as something happening that science not just hasn't explained yet, but actually currently says shouldn't be possible. Now imagine we could prove beyond any doubt that such an event occurred. Would this mean that God exists? Not necessarily, but it would certainly make us reconsider what we know about the universe. Let me go over 4 points. Throughout history, many things once thought magical or miraculous were later explained by science. One of my favorite and easiest examples is lightning. Lightning went from being Zeus's anger to a well-understood natural phenomenon. A quote, verified miracle might just be showing us there's more to learn about our universe. Even if we accept that something supernatural happened, it doesn't automatically point to any specific God. Different religions have different ideas about the divine, and a miracle wouldn't necessarily favor one over the others. Imagine showing a smartphone to someone from the 1800s. They might see it as miraculous, but we know it's just advanced technology. Similarly, a miracle could potentially be the result of technology or natural processes far beyond our current understanding. As Arthur C. Clarke's third law states, any sufficient advanced technology is indistinguishable from magic. Some scientists propose that our reality might be a highly advanced simulation. As I don't much like this idea, I don't want to talk about it too much. But if it was true, a miracle could simply be the programmers tweaking the code rather than an act of God. All this said, a verified miracle would be groundbreaking. It would challenge our understanding of reality and could make the idea of a god or gods more plausible. At the very least, it would open up new areas of study and force us to rethink what's possible in our universe. The keyword here is verify. Proving a miracle would require extremely strong evidence. We need solid, repeatable proof that stands up to the toughest scientific tests. Even then, we need to be careful about jumping to conclusions. In essence, a verified miracle would tell us that our current understanding of reality is incomplete. Whether the gap in our knowledge is best filled by a god or by some yet-to-be-discovered natural explanation would require more investigation and deep thinking. To sum up, a verified miracle wouldn't prove God exists, but it would give us a strong reason to consider the possibility. It would be like finding a door where we thought there was only a wall. It wouldn't tell us what's on the other side, but it would certainly make us want to look. So now we're building up to question 3. I like it. Hit me with it, Cameron.
All right, number 3, and this is my final question. If you're an atheist that cares about truth and thinks that we should proportion our beliefs to the evidence, but then you also think that we've got this unique way to verify whether or not God exists through studying miracles, how many of the millions of miracle reports throughout history have you actually deeply investigated?
Oh, Cameron, is this really what you were building up to? Is this really a question you wanted to know the answer to above anything else you could have asked? I feel so let down by this question. I was expecting something more nuanced or philosophically challenging, but really just how many miracle reports have you actually deeply investigated? Not to be overly critical, but this is weak sauce. However, it wouldn't be my video if I just left it, so let me address it thoroughly and fairly. This question seems to imply that atheists who haven't personally investigated millions of miracle claims are being inconsistent or intellectually dishonest. This assumption is problematic for several reasons. We don't need to deeply investigate every single miracle claim to have a rational stance on the subject. This is similar to how we don't need to personally verify every scientific finding to accept well-established theories. We rely on the scientific method and peer review process. In logical reasoning, the burden of proof lies with those making the claim, especially extraordinary claims. If someone claims a miracle has occurred, It's their responsibility to provide compelling evidence, not the responsibility of others to disprove it. Many miracle claims have already been thoroughly investigated by experts in relevant fields. As critical thinkers, we can review these findings and their methodologies without needing to personally replicate every investigation. That said, I have indeed looked into many of the most prominent miracle claims throughout history. Here are some examples. The miracle of the sun at Fatima in 1917. Thousands claim to see the sun dance in the sky. However, this can be explained by a combination of factors, including mass suggestion, expectation, and possibly retinal fatigue from staring at the sun. Notably, no astronomical observatories recorded any unusual solar activity that day. Many cases, including the famous Weeping Virgin Mary statue in Civitavecchia, Italy in 1995, have been debunked. In this particular case, DNA testing reveals the tears were male human blood, likely from the statue's owner. Lourdes healing miracles. Out of millions of visitors to Lourdes, only 70 cases have been declared miraculous by the Catholic Church since 1858. Many of these have natural explanations, such as misdiagnosis or spontaneous remission, which are rare but well-documented medical phenomena. Pareidolia cases. The eyes in the door miracle in Belize in 2004 is a classic example of pareidolia, that is, our brain's tendency to see familiar patterns in random stimuli. In this case, wood grain patterns resembled eyes, which were interpreted as a divine sign. And I'll end on stigmata. Cases like that of Padre Pio have been explained through various natural means, including self-infliction, either consciously or unconsciously, and certain blood coagulation disorders. The key point here is that we don't need to exhaustively investigate every single claim when we have robust natural explanations for these phenomena. When a new claim arises, we apply Occam's razor. If there is a simple, natural explanation that fits the evidence, it's generally more reasonable to accept that than to jump to supernatural conclusions. Moreover, the scientific method has proven to be our most reliable tool for understanding reality. If a genuine miracle occurred, one that truly defied natural laws, it would be of immense scientific interest. The fact that no miracle claim has ever been confirmed under rigorous scientific scrutiny is telling. Consider the James Randi Educational Foundation's $1 million Paranormal Challenge, which ran from 1964 to 2015. It offered a large cash prize for anyone who could demonstrate a supernatural or paranormal ability under agreed-upon scientific testing criteria. Despite over 1,000 applications, no one ever won the prize. That's not to say we should dismiss all claims outright. If a purported miracle comes with compelling evidence that can't be easily explained by known natural phenomena, then absolutely, it warrants deeper investigation. But until such a claim emerges, it's entirely reasonable to provisionally accept the null hypothesis that these events, however strange they may seem, have natural explanations. In essence, caring about the truth and proportioning beliefs to evidence doesn't mean we have to personally investigate every claim. It means we should be open to the evidence, critical in our thinking, and willing to change our views if presented with sufficient proof. So far, the proof for miracles has been lacking. But I remain open to compelling evidence should it ever arise. This approach is not only intellectually honest, but also practical in a world where new claims arise daily. And that's the end of his video. So let's take a look at those 3 questions in their entirety. Here they are. So now, per usual, I turn it over to you. What are your answers to these questions? Post them in the comments, especially if they're different from mine, and especially if you disagree with any of my answers. That's it for this one. So what do you think? Do you think Cameron is asking some great questions for atheists to think about? Or are you like me and think that he built us up just to let us down? I truly came to this video with high hopes, because in his first video with 3 questions for atheists, the questions were actually quite good. And generally, I like to think about Cameron's questions and keep challenging my own beliefs. Putting those beliefs into words is another challenge which keeps my mind sharp. Then, putting them all out there for you to evaluate keeps me honest as well. Plus, it can help show that I'm open to new ideas and changing my way of thinking if the evidence warrants it. For this one, Cameron just didn't do it for me. Though if this video did it for you, show that by hitting that like button. You can also get my content delivered to you almost miraculously by hitting that subscribe button if you haven't already. Also, if you know other atheists that would benefit from seeing these questions, share this video with them. Perhaps they think differently than I do on these questions. Speaking of generously proportionate, I need to thank my patrons: Calamitous Anima, Sora, Long-Haired Lefty, Musical Ocelot, Ooga Booga Luga, Anonymous Netizen, Angel, Tarek Alkasab, Jamabomb, Kai Henningsen, and Triple Towel, who are the closest thing to verified miracles that my channel can ever get. Though if you would like to hold immense explanatory power, you can join them for as low as a single dollar a month at patreon.com/darkofalltrades. Thank you to all of you who support me here. I know that a bunch of you would throw irresponsible amounts of currency at me if you could, and I'm extra grateful to those who do. However, please don't ever feel pressured to give me anything if you don't really want to. A view, a like, a new subscribe, a share, a grateful comment, all those are great ways to show you appreciate what I do, and I truly appreciate every single one of you. I read through all of your comments and do my absolute best to respond when I can. It really is like I'm in a room with 2,500 plus people, and 80 of you are having conversations with me and others at the same time. As a tremendous extrovert, I honestly love it. You are all so patient with me, and not just me, you're also patient with everyone else who comments too. Thank you so much. Please keep being awesome. And as always, keep learning.
So that's why my